If there's one thing you really need to do in life, it's to appreciate the beauty of nature. I think in the busyness of our day to day, we just don't stop to smell the roses enough, and you really need to do that. Today's a really gorgeous spring day. Sun is shining. It's, you know, hot enough to make you sweat. Birds are singing. Good times. What I'd like to do with this video is I want to just give you a bit of a very quick rundown of my cancer journey, something like an executive summary, and then from there I will roll on into creating videos around specific procedures that happened, things like going through chemo and and those sorts of things, and the operation that I had, and I'll also share videos that we took at the time of that so that you can really see the impact. And but what I want to really push home with this video is the whole prevention thing. We all know that and we see on television all the advertising around cancer, and especially I especially like what the Breast Cancer Society has done, for example, with their advertising about women getting to understand their breasts and their body. But that's a message that needs to extend out to everyone, because one of the amazing things about cancer is that sorry, I won't give it a gender. One of the amazing things about cancer is that it is a really sneaky son of a bitch. Oftentimes it will be well entrenched and well progressed before you even begin to feel the symptoms of it. And that was certainly the case for me. Really, the symptoms just started for me. I'm kind of guessing sometime around December 2009 and January 2010. That's when it first started. But it was only just every now and again, as I ate food and swallowed. If the portion was just a little bit too big, I'd start feeling. I'd actually start feeling some pain and discomfort. But of course, I just thought, a bit of a sore throat, she'll be right, no problems. And that's one of the things about us guys. We have this no pain, no problem kind of mentality, and that's something that we really need to stop. There is absolutely nothing manly, in my opinion, now of having that kind of attitude, and also the she'll be right attitude as well. I'm going to let you know just straight from the hip, she'll be right ultimately will cost me my life, because that's what I was thinking the whole way through. These little niggles that I was having with just not being able to swallow properly. Of course, it was only when I was eating. So no, there's no infection. It's just, I don't know, a fishbone. Who knows? She'll be right. Wrong. Anyhow, that went on for several months, and it was actually Denise, that's my partner, who got me to see the doctor after she was finishing meals, often 10, 15 minutes before I was, and that was just not part of the game ever. And so she kicked me off the doctor. And essentially all that happens through this process is at the GP. At the GP's, I was told it's not good news. We then had a scope done, and that's a procedure where they put a camera down your throat and they take a biopsy, and I'll go into that in more depth later. And that biopsy came back as being positive for esophageal cancer. We were then off to a surgeon, and really essentially what that came down to was they would take 10 centimeters of my esophagus and the top part of my stomach, but before that what they would do is they would essentially look right through all of my stomach, and especially at my liver, and if there was any disease in the liver, they'd close me up and send me home to die. Okay, so you can understand the seriousness of all of this. And in line with this, part of the treatment was also chemotherapy. In fact, that started prior to the surgery. I had 3 rounds of a very intensive chemotherapy. And if you know anything about chemotherapy, you know that essentially what they're doing is they're poisoning your body, and that is attacking you. That poison attacks everything. It's your immune system, just absolutely everything, and it is really intense. And normally what they do between what's called a cycle is they give you a rest period for your body to recover. And with me, there was no rest period. I went from one cycle to the second cycle to the third cycle. So by the time I'd finished those 3 cycles, I was absolutely fucked, like you would not believe. And I would not wish that on anyone at all. I then had a small rest of a few weeks. Then we did the surgery, and then I had a few more weeks of rest to overcome that. And I was straight back into another 6 cycles of chemo, and again it was just one cycle after the next cycle after the next cycle, and that just honestly, by the end of that, I wanted to die. It was that bad. I just really wanted to die, and so this is just not a good journey for anyone. However, through it all, through everything, people have just always commented just how well I have coped with this, and I guess I have. There have been mental battles, emotional battles, but you have to stand up and you've got to fight through these. You've got to get through those, and that's what Being Thinking is going to be about. It's going to be about all of those things. But during the time of recovery, and by the way, once the chemo's finished, it's just not over. The combined effect of both a major surgery and all the chemotherapy just really stuffed me up, and I was just a wreck for all of 2011, and through 2012 was when I actually just started to get back. From about January 2012, I started to kind of become a little bit more mentally active, a little bit more physically active, and able to get around a lot more. Although I still find I have the effects of the chemo even now, just with getting words out and getting sentences out. Sometimes I have something very, very clear in my head, but it turns to shit by the time it reaches my mouth, because I'm tripping over my tongue, and I'm playing catch up. And you'll even probably notice that through some of these videos where I'll just kind of have a stop start to what I'm thinking and what I'm talking. And really, that's and I'm sorry that from the time of my surgery right through until early 2013, although I was coping with the recovery, it seemed that they had got the cancer, and I was actually really hopeful and positive about the outcome. However, in late 2012, early 2013, they noticed in a CT scan that I had a lymph node in my abdomen that was growing, and so we needed to go off and get a PET scan done of that. That came back positive, and that meant that I had a secondary. And what that means, ladies and gentlemen, is that you are full-blown stage 4, and if you want to use the T word, you can. That's terminal. And essentially, with that diagnosis came a decision on my part. Because of the location of the lymph node, it's down in my abdomen. It is right next to the aorta. Directly behind that is my spinal cord. In front of that is, I think, my liver and bowel, intestine, and all that sort of stuff. And the only option for me was radiation. And in discussing that treatment with the oncologist, it became very evident to me that they could shrink that tumor, but they'd never get rid of it. And in the oncologist's words, we would simply be prolonging your life. And there was also a really high degree of risk involved that they would damage something else, because they have to shoot through a lot a lot of really good tissue with radiation to get to get to the cancerous lymph node. And so I made the decision that I wasn't going to take that treatment. Chemo was off the table, and also surgery was off the table. So now everything's off the table. But I do live with, with I guess one positive, and that is that the progression of this particular secondary has really got the medical teams fucked, because they are astounded that it is isolated to the one lymph node, and it has been for over the 12 months. Now I know that that situation will change eventually, unless my body does manage to fight and kill this, and that's going to be a story all on its own. But for now, I live, with some degree of hope that my body is actually keeping this cancer at bay. It's keeping it locked up in this one lymph node, and yes, the node is growing, but that's going to give me time, and that is time to do what I'm doing here with you right now, and just talking through my experiences, and also talking about motivation and I guess I'm challenging your concept and worldview, so that hopefully you could live a more rewarding life and a more purposeful life than I have, because and I'll talk about this. I always thought that I would have more time to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, and it seems that that's not going to be the case. But by God, I'm going to make every fucking day count, and this is part of that process. So that's where we're at. In the next video, what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to just plow straight in. I'm going to talk about the first part of this journey. I'm going to talk you through what it was like being diagnosed and the mind job that is. And then I'm going to take you through a funny story about my first endoscope, and that will hopefully have you pissing yourself with laughter. So thank you very much for your time. I've kept this within 15 minutes, which is great. I want you to have a great day, and remember, make every minute count. Love you.